Hey everyone, welcome to Adventures in Everyday Cooking, where every day can be an adventure in your kitchen. My name is Heather, and today we're doing another sourdough adventure. Now, we are not going to make sourdough, but I am going to show you something that I've kind of been sitting on for a little while because, I don't know, I just didn't think that you guys would want to hear about another sourdough thing. But you guys, this has changed my sourdough game. So if you're ready for this adventure, let's get started. All right, so typically when you do sourdough bread, your recipe directions say to do it in a Dutch oven, which a Dutch oven looks like this. So it is basically like a stock pot with a lid, and it's usually made of cast iron. And there has been I've seen these directions all over the internet everywhere, and I followed them. In fact, they're in my own personal instructions for the sourdough that I do. However, remember a couple months ago when I did this video where I pitted the clay pot against the Dutch oven, and I said that the clay pot just worked so much better and gave it a better textured crust? Did you know that they have those clay pots, basically a little Dutch oven clay pot that is the size of sourdough bread? Oh, but it gets better. The bread that comes out of these has changed my sourdough game. The proof is in the pudding though, because I actually own 2 of these. This is not a sponsored post, nor do I get any money from this unless you purchase using my link. And then of course I get like 25 cents or something. But I want to show you the difference between this method versus the Dutch oven method, because the bread, you'll see. I have 2 identical loaves. They were made exactly the same. They're from the same batch. I folded them the same. I shaped them the same. I'm going to cut them and score them the same, and they are going to go into each one of these things. It's going to go into this one, and it's also going to go into the Dutch oven, but I am preheating the Dutch oven because that's what all instructions say. Preheat your Dutch oven and then get it into your oven. This, however, says to put it in cold, and we are soaking our lid in water for at least 10 minutes before we begin, because the inside of this lid, it's clay, and so it soaks up all of the moisture and gives the perfect atmosphere for the perfect crust of bread. And the inside of the Eurita Clay Baker itself is lined in glass. It's just amazing. I should have told you about it sooner, but these guys are like $50 a piece. And so I didn't want someone to think they had to buy one in order to do sourdough, but you need one. And I'm gonna show you why. Let's get started. All right, here I have 2 identical sourdough loaves. So what I'm going to do first is I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over right on my parchment paper, because both are going to go in parchment into their containers. And I'm just going to score it the way I would score anything. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to score. And you don't have to be, I'm not a artistic scoring person. I just score the way I know that I want my bread to look. And that's good. I'm going to get it right into my baker here. And then I'm going to take my lid that's been soaking for longer than 10 minutes, and I'm going to take it out, and I am going to just get some of that water off. See how I'm getting all of the water off that might drip onto the bread, because anything that drips onto the bread will make an unsavory crust. So make sure it's nice and dry. And I'm gonna put it down, and we're gonna get it right into the oven and set our timer for 40 minutes. And while that goes in, the preheated Dutch oven will come out. We will take our other loaf and do the same exact thing. And this time into the preheated Dutch oven it's going to go. Boop. Now, grab yourself a couple of ice cubes, put them in the side of your Dutch oven on the other side of the parchment paper. That's what I recommend. Grab your lid and we're gonna trap all of that in there. All right, and now after 40 minutes, we are going to remove the lids and then we're gonna bake for another 20 minutes. All right, they're out, and just looking at them, you can see a huge difference in the shape of the loaves. Because this one was done in the clay pot where it was kind of contained, it's much more round, like a regular loaf that you would buy at the store or at your local baker. Whereas this one, since it was done in a Dutch oven, is way more wide. See how much wider? And the bottom is way flatter. So as you can see, there's a difference. Now, there is a difference in color as well. This one browned up way, 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 way faster than this one. When I took the lids off, this one was already a really good color, whereas this one had zero color. So this one definitely had to color up. So I went ahead and set my timer for 20 minutes, but at the end of 10 minutes, this had to come out because it was already that brown due to the cast iron properties. So this right here took a lot less time to cook your bread than the clay pot. However, check out the crust. The crust on the one in the clay pot, it is all blistered, nice and blistery. And you guys, this crust is so chewy and so delicious. You can crisp it up again in a heartbeat by wrapping this in foil and putting it back in your oven and on 450 for a couple minutes to make it really, really, really crispy. But there is so much moisture left in this bread that it is absolutely fantastic. The texture of this bread is different. This is the best bread that I have made. This still is good bread, but something about this process dries it out a little bit more. So it's not as chewy. It is much crispier, obviously, as you can hear. Much crispier on the outside because it wasn't cooked with all of that moisture. Yes, we still had moisture on the inside, which gave it all of those nice bubbles. But this is a softer bread. You can crisp it up though, like I mentioned, in the oven. It's still crispy. You can still hear it crisp, but it's not nearly as crispy as this one. Flavor-wise, the flavors are identical, but you guys, this bread right here, this is the reason that I purchased 2 of these guys, because the bread that comes out of those cannot be beat. And I'm not kidding. I make probably 20 loaves a week to give to my friends and family, and by far everyone prefers this one. I actually gave someone both of these loaves once, and I said, I need you, this is A and this is B, which do you prefer? And every time they have preferred the one in the clay pot. They said it's moister, it's chewier, and the texture is perfect. So the Eurita Clay Pot wins once again. All right, you guys, well, if you enjoyed that adventure, give it a like. I do sourdough adventures. I do everyday adventures. I'd love for you to join me in my next one. So if that's something you want to do, subscribe and you'll see me a couple times a week, maybe less, maybe more. It depends on what the adventure is. But that's it for me. I will see you on the next one. Bye.